Welcome to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or who should be in the news. Well, in the vernacular, the program we have now is what you call a Suki program. Somebody who's been here quite a number of times, and I always look forward to this time of the year, sometime around January, because it is when we feature PET, the Philippine Exchange Training Program. And this all started way back in 2009. And we've been doing it every year since then. But before I forget, and I want to thank again my classmate and friend from LaSalle who introduced the whole thing to me, was Mr. Victor Rottenberg. Maybe some of our delegates now know him, but he has since retired. So Vic Rottenberg, thank you very much for introducing me to these wonderful officers, ladies and gentlemen of the San Francisco Police Department and other law enforcement units in the United States. And again, let me do this from the very beginning, because I promised to say hi and hello to my good friend from Kolkata in Manila, Mr. Naresh Kumar. So Naresh, there you go. I'm saying hi. All right, so welcome. It's Philippine Exchange Training Program 2015. And we have 9 guests today. And our first set of guests will be Lieutenant Eric Quema, Officer Michelle Quema, and Officer Mike Chantal. First of all, the leader of the group, Lieutenant Eric Quema, our good friend. Eric, welcome again.
Thank you, Jerry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Eric, could you please give us an overview again of PET?
My pleasure. PET, Philippine Exchange Training Program, started in the year 2000. It took almost over a year to get off the ground because there's a lot of red tape on both sides of the ocean. Basically what it is, it started off as exchange training between the Philippine National Police and the San Francisco Police Department. In 2008, we opened it up to outside agencies like Department of Justice, BART Police Department, Salinas, LAPD. And it has evolved from just training police, training other police. It evolved to giving donations and visiting schools and orphanages, high school and elementary, giving talks on bullying and cyber crime and all kinds of anti-gang messages. It expanded to include the business community and also the barangay tanods. We also visit senior centers, and we donate quite a bit of goods, both new and used goods. So in the true meaning of community policing, we now are at a level in this program, this is 15 years now, that it's operating very smoothly at 110% capacity.
Okay, now, of course, it's very important to know what you do, but equally important is why.
That's a good question, Jerry. I asked myself that in the beginning, and it was answered when I first stepped foot back in our homeland, our bansa, when I saw 350 faces of my kababayan, men and women, law enforcers, eager to learn and share information, eager to ask questions about everything pertaining to good policing to serve the community, including the hard question about ethics. And it made me realize that there's so much needed here in terms of resources and training, and it just got to my heart as a Filipino and as a law enforcer.
So this is the common denominator among all of the participants in PET. I mean, they have this mindset before coming over. So it's not a joyride. It's definitely not it's a working trip. You know, it's not really much of a vacation. And I would also like to point out that these ladies and gentlemen, well, we have one lady with us and a gentleman with us, officers. They're doing this out of their own pocket money. I mean, they're not being supported by the government, our government or theirs. So they're really doing this, you know, out of their own accord and in their own time, by the way, in their own time, in their own money, their own resources. So thank you very much for that again and again. And as I was saying, this is always one of the best times, one of the best programs we ever have here when we have these gentlemen over. And I will give the pleasure and privilege of introducing our first guest with us. And Lieutenant Eric Quema will tell you why. Eric, could you please introduce Officer Michelle Quema?
The officer seated to my left is actually my daughter. This is her second year in the San Francisco Police Department. I was surprised that she decided to follow my footsteps because I sent her to a university that specializes mainly in business, law, and nursing. And to my surprise, she told my wife first she wanted to be a police officer. It's a hard task because in the academy, it's academically and physically demanding. And she made it. And I heard she's setting a good reputation and foundation. They've been told, they tell her that she has big shoes to fill, but I told her to make her own reputation. She is now representing Filipinas all over the world, and she's representing proudly.
Okay, so Officer Michelle Kema, welcome here. I've been looking forward to this for 2 years. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, have you explained to your father why you decided to join the SFPD instead of gotten to, you know, the regular civilian work?
Well, ever since I was younger, I had a feeling that I wanted to be a police officer. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have parents who have always been very supportive and encouraging for me to pursue my dreams and do what I want to do. So I didn't choose to be involved in law enforcement mainly because of my father. It's something that I wanted a job where it's something different every day. I get to help people. I'm not stuck in an office doing the same thing over and over again. You know, I get to meet people of different walks of life, and I get to help them. So I really enjoy this line of work. So
has it met your expectations or gone beyond your expectations, being an officer of the SFPD?
Both. A lot of it comes with it. You come into contact with people at their low times, their tragic circumstances. Sometimes, a lot of times, people call the police when they're in need of help. So it can take a toll on you physically, mentally, and emotionally. But I'm just happy that I get to help somebody.
Of course, and well, if you were here in the Philippines, one area you could go to is showbiz. Oh yeah, I mean you could be what they call an artista. You could very well be an actress.
About that.
You're beautiful, you know.
Thank you.
You must take after a beautiful combination between your father and mother.
Yes.
You have other siblings, or?
I have one older brother, and he is a nurse.
Oh, okay. There
Yes.
you go. Sort of a change of roles there.
Reversed.
Okay, we talked to a first-timer in the Philippines, Officer Mike Chantal.
Thank you, Jerry.
So, Mike, tell us about why you're here. What made you decide?
Well,
were you invited or did you volunteer?
Yes, well, I was invited, and I'm grateful that I was invited. I have visited the Philippines before, but this is the first time that I've been here with the PET team, and I'm grateful to the lieutenant for allowing me to be here. I think the Philippines is a wonderful country. I think the people are wonderful, and that's why I decided to join this year, and glad to be here.
How long have you been an officer of the SFPD?
For 13 years now.
13?
In San Francisco.
Okay, wow, all right. And your first time here, what are your impressions?
The people are very hospitable. I found that, or what I've been finding out with the training that we're doing, is that there is a lack of funding or limited resources for the officers that are out there. So I think it's a little bit different than what we're used to and what we have in the United States.
Okay, now specifically the SFPD, you mean you have no problem at all with funding? Like you get all the funds you're hoping for, and you get all the resources that you want? Is that your situation?
We pretty much get what we want as far as funding goes, but we have different sources of funding. We have federal funding and we have state funding as well. So there are different sources for funding for our police department.
So when it comes to funding, no problem?
From what I've seen,
right.
No.
Plus, of course, the county is one of the richest, if not the richest in the United States. One of the top 5, definitely.
Yes, it is, Jerry. And
Right.
it's evident from coming here how well funded we are to do our jobs. And we wish the same for our counterparts here so they can better serve the community.
And even when it comes to compensation, remuneration, I was checking your website, and you actually get a lot more than if you went into another profession. Am I right? I mean, one of the reasons, I guess, why there is hardly or very little corruption when it comes to your profession is because you really get paid well. I mean, enough to live on, enough to... over here, you know, I mean, it's... unfortunately, I mean, a lot of your counterparts here, they live in the poorest part of town, you know, and some of them could even be classified as living in, what do they call those? Informal settlers. You know, in other words, they don't have their own home. They're living in government property, putting out, you know, and there are quite a number of your counterpart, you know, who are in that situation. You're aware of that.
Well, I agree with you, Gerry, because the lack of a living wage breeds desperation, and desperation breeds corruption. It's a proven fact, not just in the Philippines, but all over the world, even in the United States. There are certain small departments in some areas of the country. Their pay is so low, the corruption rate went up. You have to give people a living wage, whether they're police officers or any other profession. You have to give a person a living, decent wage to support their family.
Okay. Officer Michelle Kema, I'll give you a minute to give us your impressions, and at the same time, there's your camera over there. You can say hi to, hi mom, or dad is here. You know, so you have 1 minute. We'll be putting this up on social networks, so after the airing of this program, people will still be able to watch it like the past pet program. So.
Okay. Well, my impressions, I mean, this is my 3rd time here, so I've kind of seen what it's like over here. I'm very humbled to be a part of this and to see my counterparts in the Philippine National Police. Everyone else here is going to probably tell you everyone's been so warm and welcoming and hospitable. In terms of the pet program and interacting with my counterparts, the other officers here in the Philippines, I have a lot of respect for them because, like we mentioned earlier, they have limited resources. But what I noticed is that they make do with what they have, with what little resources that they do have. And I've gotten the chance to speak to some of them one-on-one during breaks and when we're eating. And you know, they don't wear bulletproof vests like we do back in the States. And they don't have all the protection that we have. And so I have a lot of respect for them. They're very brave to do the same job that we do without all that protection that we have.
Okay, well, actually, we do have the protection. We have prayers. A lot of them have amulets. They must work. You know. Okay, so thank you for that. Officer Mike Chantal.
Yes.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I would just say that I'm really happy to be here this year with the 2015 PET team. And it's a wonderful opportunity. And I'd just like to thank the PNP for their backing and support of this program. They've been wonderful since I've been here, since last week. And it's been a great week, and I'm looking forward to another great week next week and additional training.
Okay, Officer Mike Chantal, I just suggest make a shout out to your chief. I mean, you know, he just might be watching this. So
to Greg, sir.
What is his name?
Greg, sir.
Okay.
Chief, from the Philippines, warmest from us over here for the 2015 PET team.
Okay, with that, thank you very much. We're going to have another group coming in, Officer Raymond Padmore, Officer Lamar Tony, and Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos. So, Lieutenant Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you, Gerry.
Officer
Thank you.
Michelle Kema, thank you. And
Gerry.
Officer Mike Chantal,
Thank you.
maraming
Thank you.
salamat po. That means thank you very much.
Thank you.
Open House with Gerry Cornejo. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or who should be in the news. And here, I think, for the 7th straight year, we're having the Philippine Exchange Training Program. This is the PET. If you were watching and listening earlier, Lieutenant Eric Kema, one of the main proponents of this program, explained what it's all about. And with this present batch we have now of Officer Ray Padmore, Officer Lamar Tony, and Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos, 2 of them, Officer Padmore and Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos, the gentlemen to your, well, to the left and to the right, have been here before, have been here several times.
Yes, sir.
And the first timer here, am I right, is Officer Lamar Tony.
Yes, sir.
We do Lamar Tony first, the first timer here. So, Officer Lamar Tony, what do you do for the SFPD?
I am currently detailed to Southern Station, which is downtown. One of the main attractions is the cable car on
Yes.
Powell Market.
Yes.
world famous cable car. I'm currently a homeless outreach officer in San Francisco, so if there's a problem area with homeless, I'm usually the first officer to respond and give services to the homeless.
Right.
Housing, maybe a food shelter so they can get food, and in some ways I help them by giving them a cup of coffee if they look like they need one.
Wonderful. I lived in San Francisco for several years, and one of the places I stayed in was at Sutter and Hyde.
Yes.
And is that your area?
No, that's north of my
Okay.
area, north.
And I used to have a photography studio on Geary, along Geary. So I would just walk to Sutter and Hyde. Now, sir, why did you join PET, or the Philippine Exchange Training Program?
I heard of the program a few years ago, and I grew up in San Francisco, and a lot of my friends were Filipino, so I've always I've always loved the culture. I love the food, I love the people. And then a couple of months ago, I was detailed to work at a special event with Mr. Padmore here, and I had a couple of questions about, PET. And he told me, he goes, hey, you should think about maybe joining, and talk to Lieutenant Cuema, and I'm thankful for him for having me. I talked to Lieutenant Cuema, and he was kind of uncertain in the beginning, but I guess he contacted some of my supervisors, and they said, the kid's okay, so he gave me a chance to come, and now I'm here representing my department.
Okay. So before you go, we get into your impressions of the Philippines. Let's talk to one of the veteran PET delegates or members, and none other than Lieutenant Raymond Officer. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thanks for
Don't
the
you want a
promotion.
promotion?
Yes, in time.
Okay.
In time,
Raymond
Gerry.
Padmore. First time I saw him several years ago, he initiated bike patrol with the PNP. So how has that gone so far, Officer Padmore?
Gerry, it's coming along exceptionally well. And each year we come back, we add an additional element of difficulty to it. So we're really training everyone, as well as training the trainers, to continue the program going here in the Philippines. So it's going very well.
Do we have an active unit made out of PNP officers on bicycles? Or
From what I understand, Gerry, yes.
how many would they be?
I don't know the exact number, but the director of training had mentioned that they currently have a group of officers who conduct training in the Philippines. So they actually go out to the various units and conduct training. So we're excited about that.
Okay, now let's talk about this very briefly. Like you've been here before, you've given your impressions, but how has this situation in Ferguson, the situation in New York, affected the SFPD? Of course, you had your own little situation with the San Francisco Police Department. So how has this affected the officers of the SFPD?
Well, Gerry, firstly, I'd start off and tell you that, in my opinion only, clearly it's offered some insight. There's no question about that.
It's what,
And
excuse me?
It's offered some insight.
Okay.
In terms of how officers may handle a situation. And for the SFPD, it's always a situation where training is always important. It's always foremost for us. And our belief is we treat people the way we would like to be treated, and treat people with dignity and respect. That's our hallmark as far as the SFPD is concerned.
I see, but has it affected you negatively, the SFPD? I mean, or you still have the same good relations with your constituents in the San Francisco?
Good question, Gerry. We absolutely still have the great relationship with our constituents. And we're almost 2,000 strong within the San Francisco Police Department, and we cover our city very well. And the city's about almost 1 million people. It rises to the level of probably 1.5 million during the day, so we keep pretty busy. And we value the citizens of our great city. We value the visitors and the tourists that come to our great city because it's a great destination city.
Okay, we get to talk to Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos from the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
So, sir, how many PET programs have you joined so far?
This is my 6th year.
6th year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've seen you 6 out of the 7 years we've been covering this,
Yes.
and ever since we've been personal and virtual friends.
Yes, sir, we
on
have.
Facebook.
We have. We have.
Okay, sir, what is the crime rate? I mean, I guess you'd be more familiar with this since you're with the DOJ. How is the crime rate of the San Francisco, compared to other major cities in the United States?
As I understand it, Jerry, and it's not my area of expertise.
Oh, okay.
I do work for the Department of Justice, California Department of Justice, but in an investigative role. But as I understand it, the crime rate is lower than many other cities, in fact, and much lower than some of the cities even in the Bay Area, because SFPD is doing a great job out there when it becomes necessary to combating crime and taking care of the people they serve.
May I know why you've been here 6 times? I mean, I have an idea why, but it would be great if I heard it from you.
Well,
and I may be wrong.
I am mestizo, so my heart is Filipino. I would like to say that. My father is Filipino Samoan. He was born in Samoa, but he was raised here in Leon, Batangas. My mom's Puerto Rican. And my asawa's from, her family is from Loag, Ilocos Norte. So we've come here, my first time here was 1996, and I fell in love with the Philippines. And I love it so much that whenever I get the chance, I come back here. People are great, the Filipino people are great, the PNP is great to us. I love it so much that hopefully, God willing, in a few years I might retire and I might come and live here in the Philippines.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I mean, this is a great place to retire, really.
Yes.
You know, the weather is fine, except every now and then you've heard about how we have super typhoons.
Yes.
But then you can avoid that. They tell you way in advance.
Yes.
Okay, Officer Tony, what are your impressions? This is your first time in the Philippines. So walk us through when you landed up to now. You've been here for 10 days?
We've been here almost a week.
Okay, almost a
Almost
week.
a week.
So walk us through your first week in the Philippines.
This isn't my first time to the Philippines, but
Oh,
it's my
okay.
first time with the group.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I love the country. I have friends that live in Makati.
Oh.
And like what I said earlier, I grew up with a lot of Filipino friends. So, and the culture is a beautiful culture. It's very similar to my culture. I'm Mexican-American, very family-oriented. They love food. I love food, as you can see. I'm the skinniest guy. But I love it here. I
Right.
love the people. The PNP have been very friendly to us, treated us like family. They've taken us everywhere. They've made sure that we were safe. And that's one thing I love, that we can take care of each other that way.
Right. So, what made you come here? I mean, of course, the training part of it, or is it because you were wondering, I mean, about your Filipino friends, you know, where did these guys come from and what are the rest of the Filipinos like? But hey, there's a big Filipino community in San Francisco,
Yes.
especially in Daly City. You know, you go there, you go to the malls, and like you're in one of the malls in Makati, almost. Okay, so what is it about the pet program that really got you here?
I talked to Ray Padmore we worked a couple of hours together. We were riding bicycles detailed to a park. And he just told me how great it was to be here and to help train fellow officers and to take care of each other. Because we are family. We're all a family. Every police officer in every country, we're all in the same boat. And we all take care of each other.
Okay.
And just being here and seeing them, the PNP, take care of us so well, it makes me want to come back even more.
Wonderful, wonderful. So all nice experiences so far.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
And thank you very much for the gift.
Oh, you're welcome. you should wear it. You should don it right now.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I should look at it during the break. So, Officer Ray Padmore, again, give a shout out to your chief or to any
Absolutely.
Filipinos, your friends, family. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Jerry, and thank you for having us here again. We always look forward to the opportunity. I want to start off by thanking Chief Greg Sir for his vision and his support throughout this process, and he has always been behind the program. Also like to thank our Deputy Chief, Lynn Tomioka, for really helping us move through some of the challenges we've had in terms of moving goods and that sort of thing. So special thank you to them for being so supportive of me and as well as the group. I wanted to say a special thank you to my wife, Alice, who has been incredibly supportive over the years, and she's actually here with us. Thank you, Alice, for everything you do. And lastly, Jerry, thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's all. This is. I look forward to this every year. I look forward to this, and even the people here look forward to it. I mean, they always remember here because we appreciate your help.
Yes.
We appreciate what you're doing, and we are a grateful nation. Now, Officer Lawrence Lagarejos, who is almost Filipino.
Yes, I am. I consider myself.
So, sir, what do you like to tell the Filipino people or people who might be watching this program?
As I said before, it's a great country, great culture. I've loved it so much that again I plan on retiring here. I'm looking forward to that. I'd like to also thank my family, my wife, and
What's her name?
Linda.
Okay, there you
Linda.
go.
Her family again is from Lawag, and I've had a blessed life, family, and my career. I just became a grandfather, my second grandson, my first grandson. My little shout out to Logan and to Ari, my second grandson. So, and I thank you also, Gerry, for everything.
Well, as I was saying, as I've been saying, ever since year one, I mean, this is one of the best times and best programs that I've had when I have officers from the PET, and it's nice to see familiar faces here, like both of you, Lawrence and Ray, and of course we expect to see more of you.
I want to come back. You have to talk to my boss.
And our next batch is going to be made up again of 2 people who have been here before and 1 new officer, and we'd like to discuss it we'd like to ask them a little bit different questions. Now, we have 1 minute to go. Officer Ray Padmore, can you tell us, I was told by Vic Rottenberg that this time around you brought how many containers of goods? I mean, before they used to be in packages, and then it became many suitcases, many balikbayan boxes. Now we're talking about containers. So how many containers did you actually bring this time?
Thanks for asking, Gerry. We actually only brought 1 container.
Oh,
There was a 20-foot container with
Oh,
many
goodness.
boxes in it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, many
This
donated items.
This is the first time that you brought
This
that
is actually
much.
the second year.
Okay.
Second year that we've actually done that. And as I'd mentioned previously, our deputy chief was kind enough to assist us with that in terms of moving it from San Francisco to the Philippines.
Okay, so with that, again, thank you very much, Officer
very welcome.
Padmore, Officer Tony, and Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos. And well, we are sure you're going to have many more nice experiences in the Philippines. That priceless memories that you'll be taking back to the Bay Area. And this time, you'll be able to tell the Filipinos that marunong mag-Tagalog, konti.
Konti lang alam ko.
There you go. So when you're dealing with a Filipino there, they can't run circles around you.
A little bit. A little bit.
And you tried if you have Filipino friends, you must have tried adobo.
Yes, but I love bagoong.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a lot of good bagoong in Ilocos.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, there is.
So again, thank you very much, gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to have 3 more officers from the PET program. I'm Gerry Cornejo. This is Open House. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or should be in the news. And our topic now, if you just tuned in, is PET, Philippine Exchange Training Program, where officers from the San Francisco Police Department, special agents from the Department of Justice, visit the Philippines. And this is just a part of the delegation, which is headed by Lieutenant Eric Quema, who started this 15 years ago. So earlier we had with us Lieutenant Eric Quema, Officer Michelle Quema, Officer Mike Chantal, Officer Raymond Padmore, Officer Lamar Tony, and Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos. Now we have with us an officer and a special agent who've been with us before, and a first-timer, Officer Matt Leong.
Yes,
Matt,
Gerry.
welcome.
Thank you very much, Gerry.
Okay, so Officer Sean,
Gerry.
and let me just salute you, sir. Okay, Special Agent Bradley Bautista. Officer Sean O'Connor. Okay, I know you have Filipino links too.
Yes, I do.
In fact, she's here.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us about your experience with PET? I mean, how many times you've been here, and your current experience from a week ago.
Sure. So I've been part of the program since 2010. 2010 was my first year coming here with the PET program. So I'm on my 5th year now, but I've been to the Philippines numerous times before. I am half Filipino, so my mother's from Bohol, and my wife is from Mabalacat, Pampanga.
And her name is?
Abigail Diane O'Connor.
There you go, Abigail Diane, yeah. All right, so as you were saying, you're half Filipino, but
Yes.
You were born in the States.
I was born in the States, yes, sir.
Okay, and now, unlike the other officers here, where you are a police officer, you are a law enforcer, but then you are with the Bay Area Rapid Transport Police Department, BART PD.
Yes, sir.
Okay, BART PD, by the way, parang equivalent na natin dito ng, you know, the LRT, MRT train systems. Well, of course, it's much more complicated and a bigger scope in the San Francisco area. And so they have a special police department just to handle the Bay Area Rapid Transit, the BART system. Could you tell us a little bit about your work, Sean?
Sure. So the Bay Area Rapid Transit expands through 5 different counties, over 126 miles of trackway,
All right.
26 cities, 9 districts. Very expansive. We cater to mainly commuters going to San Francisco, which equates to almost 500,000 people daily on a daily basis. So with that being said, it's a target-rich environment for people who want to victimize people on our system, and that's when the BART PD comes in. We have about 230 sworn officers who are tasked to different zones, different areas, and they roughly work 1 or 2 or 3 stations per beat.
Okay.
And it's numerous different calls, from robberies to sexual assaults to batteries and stolen vehicles, burglaries.
Okay, so do I get the impression that there's more crime in your BART PD than in the SFPD somehow, or not really?
No, I don't
Okay.
believe so. I don't
Just
have
equal,
the stats, but we get the same type of crimes,
Okay, yes.
maybe on a much lower level than San Francisco.
Okay, we go to first-timer with
Yes, sir.
PET.
Yes.
Okay, first-timer in the Philippines.
First time in the Philippines.
Okay, Officer Matt Leong. Can you
Yes.
tell us a bit about yourself? He's with the SFPD.
Sure. I've been with the San Francisco Police Department for about 8 years now. I work in patrol, which is everything and anything. When someone calls 911 or our emergency line, I get dispatched out to respond to the call. Whether it's a robbery, a theft, an assault, you name it, we respond to it. I also work as a field trainer. So when someone's in our academy and they finish the academy, they pair the new recruits with an experienced officer for 16 weeks. I'm one of the people they pair them with to train them to find out how to work on the street and how to become an officer.
Just curious, did you ever encounter Officer Michelle Quema when she was in the academy?
No, unfortunately not.
Fortunately or unfortunately? Okay, so you train, which area of police work do you train in the academy?
Well, I don't train inside the academy
okay.
itself. I train, I'm a field trainer. So
Oh,
what
right,
happens is
okay.
when a recruit finishes their 8-month academy, they get put out with partnered with a field trainer out on the street.
That's you.
That's me.
All right.
And then we go to respond to calls together, and I show them how to do investigations, interviews, policy, and procedure.
Okay, walk us through your experience in the Philippines when you landed around a week. You were here together with this group a week ago.
Yes, I was.
So walk us through that. Well, 1 week ago, so you land at Manila International Airport, one
Yes.
of the airports, and how was it? I mean, you were given courtesies.
Yes, the PNP was there to welcome us when we got out of the airport. They were very accommodating, very welcoming. They've made our trip as easy as possible. They've given us escorts from all the different sites we visited. And everyone I've met and encountered so far on this trip has been very warm and welcoming.
And we're naturally like that, by the way.
No.
It's no, no,
Because we're-
seriously. I mean, I've traveled all around the world, and it wasn't until I got to many parts of the world that I found out, hey, you know, this is what Filipino hospitality is all about. What many visitors have been talking about. I experienced it when I lost it. You know, you go abroad and it's not really there. You know, I mean, they have their own brand of hospitality, but it's different here. What are your impressions of your brother officers in the PNP?
They face the same problems every officer does. They face every call they go to, every person they encounter, it's a different challenge and a different experience. What I found with the folks from the PNP that I've talked to is during the trainings, they're eager to learn. They want to know what's beyond the Philippine borders, how we do police work in the United States, just as we ask them how they do police work here in the Philippines. And this is my first trip here, and what I found out, it's not all that different. We each have our different challenges based on populations, resources available, but what it boils down to is all of us are in the same business, trying to protect people and trying to make sure people are able to get along with their lives.
Now, Officer Matt Leong, tell me, why did you join PET 2015?
So several years ago, I joined a group called FALEO, the Filipino American Law Enforcement Officers Association. And through several of my coworkers, they told me about the program. I was interested, and I've helped for the last 3 years with their scholarship program. This year, I was approached by Lieutenant Cuema, and he was very gracious to offer me an invitation to come out here with the program. I was very interested. I love traveling, and this gave me an opportunity to come to the Philippines, a country I've never been to before, interact with other law enforcement officers, and to participate in training. So it was a all-win situation on all sides.
Well, how has it been compared to your expectations? Did it meet your expectations? Did it
It exceeded my expectations.
exceeded? Okay, in a
Because-
positive way, of course.
In a positive way,
right,
because several of the officers I work with have been on have been with PET before on the training, and they told me a little bit of what went on, but I never knew how much we actually did and how many people we would actually contact.
Okay. We go now to our friend here, the new president of FALEO,
Filipino
American.
Law Enforcement Officers Association.
Okay, the new president, Special Agent Bradley Bautista from the DOJ, right?
Yes,
I
sir.
got that. Okay, now your former president, I met him also, and his name is
Glenn Sylvester.
Glenn Sylvester, who is with this group but didn't join us now in the studio.
Correct.
Okay, tell us about, well, first of all, how many times have you been here?
Oh, Jerry,
Yeah.
this is my 5th time.
All right.
4 on the team, 1 as an observer.
Okay, and tell us about FALEO, your group, because you just recently opened a FALEO Manila chapter or club or group. What do you call it?
An office as an honorary
Okay.
chapter for
Okay.
now, in hopes that they create their own chapter here in the Philippines.
So, can you tell us a bit about FALEO?
Yes, FALEO is an organization which formed in 2006 after the tragic loss of 3 Filipino officers who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. A group of Filipino law enforcement officers, brothers and sisters, from various Bay Area law enforcement agencies came together and formed FALEO to promote fraternal relationships and also to promote our Filipino cultural heritage and to also do charitable services within our communities.
Can you tell us a bit about your Filipino roots, which you surely have?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My father is Ilocano, but he was born in Hawaii. He's from Baroque, Ilocos. Well, his father's from Baroque, Ilocos Norte. My mom was born here in Quezon, in Manila, but her mom, my grandmother, who raised me, is from Zamboanga City, so she's Chabacana.
Okay. And before we go into, let me ask you this. What is the main difference if any, from the first time you've been here to now, 2015?
The main difference, I see that after coming back so many times and training and going to our seminars, how the PNP have been able to react to the various scenarios and situations that we have for them. And they've been able to respond real quick, and it's pretty amazing to see that after so many years. And these are new officers every year that we see, and for them to be at this, it makes us up our game and create different scenarios. So it's challenging, and it's a great time.
Okay, very briefly, what do you do as special agent for the DOJ?
Thank you for asking that. I started out in narcotics investigations. I used to handle cases in which I was an undercover agent, purchasing various drugs in California. Then I progressed to firearms investigations and making sure that dangerous felons are not in possession of firearms. And now partners with Special Agent Lawrence Lagarejos on our Bureau of Investigations unit or department.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, shout out, anything you want to say to the Filipino audience or to the people in SFPD who eventually get to see this program? Officer Sean O'Connor.
So I'd like to, first of all, say hello to my mother who's recovering from surgery right now. My dad,
Her
my
name?
sister. Oh, Pearl O'Connor. My dad, Patrick O'Connor. My sister, Trisha O'Connor. Also, all my friends and family here in the Philippines and back in the States. Love you very much. Obviously, my wife, who's been supportive of me from the beginning. I like to say hello, and I love you too, you. I would like to make special mention to the family of our fallen Sergeant Tom Smith, who yesterday was a year to the date of him being killed in the line of duty. So to his wife, Kelly, and to their daughter, Summer, I'd like to say we're thinking of you and we love you very much.
And condolences to, late as it is, to the family of Officer Tom Smith.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Officer Matt Leong, anything you want to say? Shout out to anyone or?
Sure. I'd like to send a shout out to my chief, Greg Sir. Thank you for allowing us to take the time off in order to participate in this program and for the support in the program. Shout out to both of my parents, Lawrence and Dora Leong, who are sitting in Daly City right now waiting. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. And you have 30 seconds, Special Agent Bradley Bautista.
I'd like to say maraming salamat sa iyo ang lahat. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. I love the Philippines. I'm proud to be a Filipino American. And I'd like to send a shout out to my wife Glenda, who I'm expecting to be here next Monday.
Oh, wonderful.
With my son Bradley.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Officer Sean O'Connor, Officer Matt Leong, and Special Agent Bradley Bautista. Maraming salamat po. And with that, ends again one of my top favorite programs. Ever. Every January, always look forward to this, and sometimes as early as February or March, Lieutenant Eric Kema and I already talking about the coming PET 2015, and this is we scheduled this 6 months in advance, and no other program here scheduled that far ahead. But anyway, that's how much I love this program, and I love this gentleman, and I love this program. So again, maraming salamat. Thank you very much to all the participants of PET 2015. And again, hello to Vic Rottenberg and Mr. Naresh Kumar of Kolkata in Manila. I'm Gerry Cornejo. Until next week, I love you. God bless you. Take care.